Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new here. Hope you all are doing great. In this video, I am going to be showing how I divided my chrysanthemums which were very overcrowded and root bound. So make sure to follow along until the end to see the final result and how to divide the chrysanthemums actually. If you have watched my previous chrysanthemums videos, you might have seen that I had cleaned up my chrysanthemums in the spring and I was waiting on this very particular container which was showing a little bit of tiny growths, but yeah, it has grown all weeds now. So yeah, I had cleaned them up and I was just waiting for them to put on new growth so that I can divide them. So I'm just going to get on with the containers one by one and start dividing them and plant them in many more containers. So here is the much awaited container which I was waiting for, that it's gonna be chrysanthemums, but no, it has grown nothing but a bunch of weeds. So I'm just going to clean up the container, remove all the weeds and freshen up the soil in it. Ideally, chrysanthemums should be divided at least every 3 to 5 years, and if your chrysanthemums are in containers, it should be more often. So dividing is to avoid overcrowding and to promote maximum flowering. They should be divided in the spring when the new growth appears, when you start to see like at least 3 to 5 inches of new growth. So in my case here, I have all my chrysanthemums planted up in the containers. So I am just using this little weeding tool to loosen up the root ball from the container and pull out the whole root ball gently by holding on to the stems. And yeah, you can use anything you have on hand, like a little hand trowel or anything. This particular plant I'm digging out is from the cuttings or the pinchings of the chrysanthemums which I had taken in the previous year. So the root ball is not that root bound. As you all can see, it's pretty much loose. These are the containers from which the cuttings have been taken. It's very evident, as you all can see, that the root ball is really root bound, and it was very tough for me to get the root ball out of this container. I'm literally struggling with this little weeding tool. Whenever we have something planted in the containers, it's very normal of the plants to become very root bound because they have the restricted area to spread out. So it's very essential for us to divide them every so often. I think if a plant is in a container, it's very ideal to divide them or separate them, or plant it in a very new container with a new soil at least every year. Now that's in some serious need of separation and new soil. Wow. So I'm just continuing to dig out all my other plants and will be Now let's get on to the main part of this video, which is dividing the chrysanthemums. So here I'm making a cut along the sides of the root ball to the base into the number of sections I want to divide. And if your plant is not too root bound, it will be easier to separate just with hands. Here I'm using scissors because my plants are really root bound. So if your plant is very root bound as well, you can use a scissors or a shovel to make a cut, and it will not harm your plant as long as you plant it immediately in fresh soil. So from here it is very self-explanatory. As you all can see, just make clean cuts and divide the whole root ball into how many of parts you want to divide. For my convenience, I have divided each of my plant into at least 3 to 4 clumps. So I will be planting them in separate containers depending on how many I need in each of the container. So now I have all my containers filled up with fresh new soil and compost, and I have added about 1 or 2 handfuls of the fertilizer. You can use any all-purpose fertilizer into it, and I'm just going to see what works for me and how much of a clump I need in there, 1 or 2, and fill up the root ball and the roots very nicely, pack it up nicely, and leave enough space for the new growth to appear, because a lot of new suckers and new branches are going to come out of this plant. So I'm leaving enough room for all the new growth for this summer. And yeah, that's my 1 container ready and many more to go. This particular pot here is looking very bare and out of shape. Do not worry about it if it happens to you. Once the plant starts to grow, it's going to fill up all the spaces and become really bushy. Mine have grown out very beautiful and very bushy. Look out for the next video. I'm going to post on the update of these chrysanthemums. I had 2 large containers and 1 small, and I managed to plant a total of 4 containers from these, which I have divided. So here's all my containers all planted up and ready to go for the summer. I also have 2 more containers of the chrysanthemums, which are red, and I have planted them earlier, and I also have a video. If you look up when to plant fall mums, you can find it. So that's all for this video. Hope you enjoyed watching it and got some tips, and if it helped you in any way, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you have any questions related to this video, please leave a comment down below and I will surely answer it. Thanks for watching. Bye.